Hello, dear friend. Here it's Mr. Z, your math coach. So today we're gonna spend fun time together. You know, those kind of fun stuff that we love when we talk about dosage calculation. We're gonna learn about metric system. So this class, this session is intended to someone that will already have some kind of idea about what a metric system look like and how to use a metric system and convert that to hours whole system as well. Measurement, what do we use in our hours? Sometimes you use a teaspoon, sometimes you use ounces, sometimes you use a cup. Those are the stuff we use in our own hours. But how can you convert to that from that to metric system? All right. So it requires a lot of practice. So my goal is at the end, you'll be able to understand how to convert to those stuff. So the story that I want to tell you here, it's a story of a family of four. All right. So you make a line like this. All right. And divide that the way I did. So that family has four kids. The first kid named kilogram. The second kid names gram. The third kid named milligram. And the fourth kid named microgram. The fun part of this family is that the mother had every single kid after 1,000 days. So after she got her first baby kilogram, she had a second baby after 1,000 days. She got a second baby. She named it that baby gram. Then she got a third baby again after 1,000 days. She named that baby milligram. Then after she got milligram, God bless her again, she got another baby and she named that baby microgram. All right. So you can see that every baby, she had them after every single 1,000 days. So the first baby name was what? Kilogram. Good job. The second baby name was what? Gram. The third baby, milligram. The fourth baby, microgram. All right. So you can see that the first baby kilogram, the second gram, the third microgram. So anytime I am going from left to right, when I go from kilogram to gram, or gram to microgram, or kilogram to milligram, or gram to mic, whenever I go from left to right, you will multiply. All right? So you will multiply. And then when you move from right, you're going to left, then you will do what? You will divide. But Mr. Z, what do you mean go from left to right? If the question telling you 2 gram equal how many milligram? So I'm going from gram to milligram. So you're moving from left to right. That's where you multiply. Anytime they say, well, how many microgram? 1 microgram equal how many kilogram? You see, I'm going from microgram back to kilogram. So your direction is going from right to left, so you have to divide. So this is what you want to understand. From kilogram to gram, how many days that one? 1,000 days. All right. So 1 kilogram equal what? 1,000 gram. It's so simple because there is only 1,000 between a kilogram and a gram. All right. So kilogram to milligram, you cannot go to milligram without passing by gram. So from kilogram to milligram, how many stop is that one? 2 stop. So I want you to see stop as matter of 1,000. 1 stop equal 1,000. So when I go down there, that is the first stop, that is the second stop, and that is the third stop from left to right. All right. So when I go from right to left, this way here, it's the first stop. That one is the second, and this is why here the third stop. So kilogram to gram, how many stop? It's 1, so it's a 1,000. You saw that? Because I'm going from left to right. I will multiply. So kilogram equal how many milligram? I'm gonna do 1,000 times 1,000 is going to give you 1 million. It 1 with 60. So kilogram to microgram, which one you have? I cannot go to microgram without passing by gram and milligram. So it's 1,000 times 1,000 times another 1,000. That gives you what? That gives you a billion. So whenever you go from left to right, you will multiply by whatever conversion day is that one. And when you go from right to left, you will divide. That's what we have here for you. So let's do some of exercise. Let's talk about maybe 3 kilogram equal how many milligram. All right. So where do you look? You know for sure that kilogram to milligram, I will multiply by 1,000 and 1,000, that's 1 million. Since I have a 3 kilogram, to go from kilogram to milligram, I have to multiply by a million. I have a 3 kilogram here. Some 1 million, you have what? You're going to have a 3 million. All right, so you're going to have a 3. You're going to have a 3 million milligram. All right. So what about 1 milligram equal how many microgram? So I know right here, I got 1 milligram. Milligram to microgram. Do you divide or you multiply? You multiply by what? By 1,000, because there is only 1,000 between the milligram and the microgram. So 1 milligram equal what? 1 milligram equal 1,000 microgram. So you have to know if you are going from left or you're going from left to right or right to left. All right, so let's talk about this. 2,500 microgram equal how many milligram? I'm here. Milligram to microgram to milligram. Which direction are you going? Are you going from left to right or right to left? There we go. You're going right to left. So you got to divide. You have to divide by whatever number is there. Since a microgram to milligram is only one stop, which is 1,000, I will divide this 500 divide that by 1,000. All right, so when you do that, it's a first 0, second 0, and you have a third 0. It's going to be right there. All right, so your answer is going to be 2.5 milligram. Why? Because you divide, because you went from right to left and you will divide. This is how you solve this thing right here. Kilogram to gram, it's 1,000. Just, it's a family. First 1 kilogram, second 1 gram, third 1 milligram, fourth 1 microgram. Every one of them has a 1,000 day apart. So kilogram to gram, it's 1,000. Kilogram to milligram, it's 1,000 times 1,000, which is a million. Kilogram to microgram, it's 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. That gives you a billion. So when you go from left to right, you multiply. And when you go from right to left, you divide. All right? So let's deal about the other system right here. So you have to know, anytime so far in this, those of you think we're gonna, many times, 1 liter, when you go from liter to milliliter, we're not talking about after, uh, uh, like going from a microliter back to milliliter. No, if we have to stop at a milliliter, if everything we convert, we are going to milliliter, then I want you to remember, anytime you go from whatever thing it is to milliliter, you'll have to multiply by whatever conversion is this. Then when you go from milliliter back to whatever it is except the microliter, you'll have to divide. So 1 liter equal 1,000 milliliter. So you have to know 1 liter equal a same 1,000 cc. So if they ask you 2,350 milliliter, equal how many cc? Since you know 1 milliliter is the same thing as a cc, so it's going to be 3,350 cc. So don't forget that. So 1 liter equal 1,000 milliliter. It means what? Anytime I go from liter to milliliter, I have to multiply by 1,000. Now, when I go from a milliliter back to liter, then I will have to divide by 1,000. So keep that straight. So when you go from a liter to milliliter, you multiply by 1,000. And when you go from a milliliter back to whatever they are asking you, you'll have to divide. So 1 teaspoon, which is a small t, equal 5 milliliter. It means what? When you go from a teaspoon to milliliter, you multiply. Remember I say, whenever you're going toward milliliter, from something toward milliliter, you have to multiply. And when you go from milliliter back to liter, back to teaspoon, back to tablespoon, back to ounces, you will have to divide. 1 tablespoon equal 15 milliliter. So 2 tablespoons equal what? It will be 2 times 15. Because you go from tablespoon to milliliter, you will have to multiply by 15. 1 fluid ounce equal what? 1 fluid ounce equal 30 milliliter. It means what? When you go from fluid ounces to milliliter, you have to multiply by 30. So I want you to know this. How many times 5 milliliter is going to go inside of 15? 3 times. So that means what? It means 1 tablespoon equal 3 teaspoons. You can see that because 5 milliliter going into 15 3 times. That means 1 tablespoon equal 3 teaspoons. 1 ounces equal 30 ml. So how many 5 ml gonna go into 30 ml? So you can see it's gonna go down the 6 times. So you know 1 fluid ounce equal 6 teaspoons. Equal how many tablespoons? 15 go into 30 2 times. So it's gonna be 2 tablespoons. Just in case someone will ask you how many teaspoons are in the 30 milliliter. All right. So this is how you don't have to memorize 1 ounce equal how many tablespoons. No, the only thing you have to remember, 1 teaspoon equal 5 ml. 1 tablespoon equal 15 ml. 1 fluid ounce equal 30 ml. And you can line up those values yourself, and you can tell how many of those numbers go inside of a 30 ounce or something. 1 cup, which is a big C, uppercase C. Remember, 1 cup is the same thing as a glass. 1 cup has the same value as a glass. So 1 cup equal 240 milliliter. 1 cup equal 240 milliliter. It means from cup to milliliter, you will have to multiply by 240. And when you go from milliliter back to cup, that's where you divide by 240. So look at this. How many 30 ml can go inside of 240? How many times? 8 times. So that means what? It means that 1 cup equal 8 times 30, or 30 milliliter, that's the same thing as 1 fluid ounce. So we can conclude 1 cup equal 8 ounces. All right? It's so simple, you can see that. 1 cup equal 8 ounces. So for you to go from cup to ounce, you multiply by 8. From ounce back to cup, you will divide by 8. Okay? And you can see as well that you can see that 3 tablespoons, 1 ounce equals 6 teaspoons. So if you have to multiply this value by 8, then you have to multiply 6 teaspoons by 8 as well. So that means 1 cup, it will be equal to 48 teaspoons. But Mr. Z, how did you see that? Well, look at here. 1 fluid ounce equals 6 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon equals 5 ml. All right, the only thing you have to do, get the value of 240 ml divided by the value of teaspoon, which is 5. you're going to get 48 of that. So 1 cup, 2 times 8, it will give you 16 tablespoons. Just get the value of 240, divide that by 15, and you're going to have 16. So 1 pint equal, the way I remember pint and quart, when you look at your alphabetic line, you know P come before Q. So I got PQ. So I know P, we got the 480 milliliter. So 1 pint equal 480 milliliter, and 1 quart equal 960 milliliter. So we can conclude here 1 quart equal 2 pints. This is how you can remember that 1 quart equal 2 pints. It means when you have a 2 pints, you have the value of 1 quart, because 1 quart is 960 milliliter. All right. So let's keep moving before we go and do some of exercise. All right. 1 centimeter equal 10 millimeter. Remember that 1 centimeter equal 10 millimeter. So from centimeter to millimeter, you gotta multiply by 10. From a millimeter back to centimeter, you have to divide by 10. 1 foot equal 12 inches. Those stuff, my friend, you just have to memorize them. You have to do your index card, buy your cards, and practice them, write them. More you do that, more you're going to commit those stuff in your memory. But if you don't practice them, there's no way you're going to pass any test for those stuff. Even though those stuff are the easiest stuff in the world, but you have to recall those information. And the only way you can commit those stuff in your memory by do a lot of practice. Today, the internet is the wonderful tool. You can go online, you can search so many exercises on a quart, on a pint, on a metric system, and you can do that. So 1 foot equal 12 inches. So from a foot to inches, you have to multiply by 12. So from inch back to foot, you have to divide by 12. So 1 inch equal 2.5 centimeters. You see that? 1 inch equal 2.5 centimeters. So if they give you the value of a foot, example, they ask you 3 feet equal how many millimeters? You got to understand, you do not have a clear path to grow from a feet to millimeter. So you will have to convert this feet to inches first, because I can go from inch to centimeter, and from centimeter, I can make my way to millimeter. So I'm going to go like this, feet, and I'm going to go to inch. From there, I'm going to go to centimeter, and from there, I'm going to make my way to millimeter. This is how you can do that. So if you know 1 foot equal 12 inches, so 3 of them, it will give you what? 3 times 12. It's going to give you 36 inches. So you know 36, 1 inch equal 2.5 centimeter. 1 inch, 1 inch equal 2.5 centimeters. So from inch to centimeter, you multiply by 2.5. So you got 36, you multiply that by 2.5. You have now what? You have 90 centimeter. But what do you know? You know 1 centimeter equal 10 millimeter. So from a centimeter to millimeter, you have to multiply by 10. So I will multiply this by 10. Now I have 900 millimeter. So you can conclude 3 feet equal 900 millimeter. So you go from inch to centimeter, and centimeter, you make your way to millimeter. This is the beauty of knowing those conversions, because you can just be able to solve any question. All right. So 1 kilogram equal 2.2 pounds. It means what? Whenever you have a kilogram to go to pound, you will have to multiply by 2.2. So from kilogram to pound, you have to multiply by 2.2. So from pound back to kilogram, you will have to divide by 2.2. Did you hear me? I say that again. And I'm going to say that again. From kilogram to pound, you multiply by 2.2. Example, whenever you have a 10 kilogram, if you have a 10 kilogram, and the question is to find how many pounds is that one. So you're going to get the 10 kilogram. What? Did you say divide? No. No one is saying you have to divide. No. You got to multiply. You multiply by what? 2.2. Good job. And once you do that, you have 22 pounds. So if they give you 22 pounds, they say, convert a 22 pounds to kilogram. Well, we know from pound to kilogram, you got to divide by 2.2. So once you divide the 22 pounds by 2.2, you will have 10 kilogram. All right, don't forget that one. All right, so another thing I want you to know is 1 pound equal 16 ounces is right here. This ounces right there is for the weight. You know, when you get your baby, let's say your baby was 4 pounds, 16 ounces. You remember that? There we go. So 1 pound equal 16 ounces. It means what? Whenever you have a pound, to go to ounces, you have to multiply by 16. But if they give you the value of ounces, you have to divide that by 16 for you to get the value of pound. So 16 ounces equal how many pounds? 1 pound, because we're going to do 16 ounces divided by 16, you have 1 pound. So don't forget, 1 kilogram equal how many pounds? You have to multiply that by 2.2 pounds. So let's drive you crazy a little bit. So let's talk about this. If they give you, let's say they give you 21 pound, and they give you 16 ounce, and they ask you convert this thing right there to kilogram. Well, you can go crazy. Even say, let's don't talk about kilogram, let's talk about milligram. But you don't know, there is not a clear path to grow from a pound and ounces to milligram. So what I have to do, I have to bring everything to pound. Then from pound, I make my way to kilogram. Because you know pound to kilogram, I gotta divide by what? By 2.2. So once you divide the pound by 2.2, now you have a kilogram. But think about this. Here I have a 21 pound. Over there I got 16 ounces. What I have to do, I have to convert ounces to pound. Then whatever pound I have, add them together with the 21 pound I have. So you gotta know you have a 21 pound here. And 16 ounce equal how many pounds? Check your conversion from your brain. No more from your notepad, no more from your index card. It gotta come from your brain. So 16 ounce, we know 1 pound equal 16 ounce. So 16 ounce to give you 1 pound. So I'm gonna get this 21 pound, please 1 pound that comes from 16 ounce. Now the total I have 22 pounds. So pound to kilogram, I have to divide that by 2.2. So when I divide the 22 pound by 2.2, now I have 10 kilogram. Well, now you know kilogram to milligram, then you go back to your lovely family of 4. So what I know is like this: 1, 2, and 3. The first one is kilogram. The second one is a gram. The third one is milligram. The fourth one is a microgram. And we learned that every one of them is 1,000. All right. So kilogram to gram, it's 1,000. Kilogram to milligram, I multiply by another 1,000. So for kilogram to milligram, you have to multiply by 1,000,000. So I'm going to get a 10 kilogram multiplied by 1,000,000. Now you're going to have a 10 million. 10 million. So 10 kilogram equal 10 million milligram. All right. Another conversion that you have to remember, it's a grain. Grain. Usually a grain is a range. It goes from 60 to 65 milligram, but many books use 60. So just remember 1 grain equals 60 milligram. So from grain to milligram, you will have to multiply by 60, and from grain, from milligram back to grain, you will have to divide by 60. All right. So let us see a couple of three conversions that you have to remember. You gotta know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. It means what? To go from an hour to minute, you got to multiply by 60. So if they give you 2 hours equal how many minutes? You're gonna go 2 hours times 60. Then you got what? 120 minutes. You got it? There we go. So from hour to minute, you have to multiply by 60. From a minute back to hours, you have to divide by 60. So if they give you 360 minutes equal how many hours? Get the 360, divide that by 60 minutes. Now you have a 6 hours. So remember that from hour to minute, you multiply by 60. From minute back to hours, you'll have to divide that by 60. So 2 more conversion left before we can do those exercises. When they give you degree Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, so whatever the value of degree Fahrenheit they give you, example, they give you 32 degree Fahrenheit equal how many degrees Celsius? So you're going to get to that degree Fahrenheit, you're going to subtract 32 from that. And whatever the difference you get, and then you're going to divide it by 1.8. So let's do this together. So you have 32 degree Fahrenheit to degree Celsius. You're going to get 32 minus 32. You have 0. Now you get 0 divided by 1.8. You got 0 degrees Celsius. So you know 32 degree Fahrenheit equals 0 degrees Celsius. So anything below 32 degree Fahrenheit, that is a freezing point. That's why in the news they'll say, be careful when you're driving, because everything may may have ice on the road. Because why? Because your temperature is below 32 and you are below freezing point. How do you go from degree Celsius to degree Fahrenheit? Whatever degrees they give you in Celsius, you have to multiply that by 1.8, and then the product that you receive, you will have to add 32. All right. So now that you have taken the notes, let us solve some of those exercises, and then we're going to leave you guys alone. You cannot solve any doses calculation if you do not understand how to go from a different from metric system to household measurement, how you do not know to go from milligram to microgram, how you do your conversion within the system. Okay. All right, let's do this right here. Gram to milligram. All right, get your calculator ready. We say when you go from left to right, you will have to multiply. And when you go from right to left, you will have to divide. So gram to milligram, how many stop is that one? It's only 1 stop. It's only 1,000 between gram to milligram. So you will have a 2.54. You multiply this right here by 1,000. If you divide, you're making a mistake. Why? Because we are going from left to right. You have to multiply. I'm going to put that family right there so you have an idea what we're talking about. So you have kilogram, gram, milligram, microgram. Every family, there were 1,000 days apart among those kids between. So now you know kilogram to gram is 1,000. Gram to milligram, 1,000. Milligram to microgram, 1,000. If I go from kilogram to milligram, I multiply by million, 1,000 times 1,000. Kilogram to gram is only 1,000. Same thing. When I go from a gram to milligram, is only 1,000. Since I'm going from left to right, I'm going to multiply. When I go from right to left, that's where I'm going to divide, okay? So far, gram to milligram, we are moving from left to right, so we'll multiply. Number two, so what do you know? We say anytime you go from some kind of a milliliter, except we're not talking about the macroliter, because macroliter, you will have to, milliliter to that macroliter, you will have to multiply, all right? You will have to multiply. But since we're not talking about the macroliter here, just remember, when you go from anything to milliliter, you will have to multiply. All right? Because we're not talking about the macro. Because macroliter back to milliliter, you will have to divide by 1,000. But we're not talking about that one. Just know for this session right here, we're talking about up to milliliter. So when you go to milliliter, you gotta multiply. When I go from a milliliter back to some kind of thing, I will have to divide. So 1 ounce equal what? 1 ounce equal 30 milliliter. Since I got 3, I will have to multiply this by 30. So you have 90 milliliter. 100 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. You gotta remember your formula. What did we learn? We know degrees Celsius, you will have first of all to multiply that by 1.8, then add 32. So we're gonna have 100, multiply that by 1.8, and add 32. So once you do that, the value you're gonna have 12 degree Fahrenheit. All right, that's how you go from Celsius to that one. Now we got Fahrenheit to Celsius. What did we learn? Well, whenever they give you degree Fahrenheit, you have to subtract the 32. Then the answer that you get from subtracting 32 from that degree, you will have now to divide that by 1.8. So once you do this right here, you will have 212 minus 32 and divide that by 1.8. Now your answer, you're gonna have 100 degrees Celsius. All right, so let's talk about number 5. Anytime you have a fraction, you have to convert that to a decimal number before you do your multiplication. So 3 and 1/2, it give you what? It give you 3/2, 3.5. Ounce to cc. Remember, we say cc is the same thing as a milliliter. Do not confuse cc to a cup, which is only one big C. So 3.5 to ounces to milliliter, you multiply by 30. All right, so you're gonna multiply 1 ounce equal 30 milliliters. You multiply this by 30, and once you do that, you will have 105 milliliter. All right, let's keep going. Remember, I said you're gonna do a lot of exercise to get the hang of it. So 1250 cc equal how many milliliter? Since we say cc and milliliter the same thing, so 1250 equal 1250 milliliter. We talk about this. 1 cup is the same thing as a glass. We say when you go to a milliliter, from something to milliliter, you will have to multiply. Don't forget that one. You have to multiply. 1 glass is the same thing as a cup. You know, 1 cup equal 240 milliliter. So from cup or glass to milliliter, you will have to multiply this by 3. So you're gonna have a 240 multiply that by 3. So once you do that, you will have 720 milliliter. So if they give you now 720 milliliter to glasses or cup, I say from milliliter back to some kind of stuff, that's where you will have to divide. All right, let's look at this right here. Microgram to milligram. All right, so microgram to milligram, you're moving from right to left. Look at your line, your family line. Microgram to milligram, you move from right to left. And when you move from right to left, you divide. There is only 1,000. There is only 1,000. So we're going to divide this right here by 1,000. So once you divide this by 1,000, you will have 10.5 milligram. All right. Let's look at number 9. Kilogram to gram, you multiply. Only you go from left to right. You multiply. There is only one step. So you're going to multiply this one here by 1,000 because there is only one step. And once you do that, you have 458 grams. Kilogram to microgram, you will have to multiply this one here by 3 steps, by 1,000,000, because you go from left to right. You got a kilogram to gram, it's 1,000. Gram to milligram, it's another 1,000. Milligram to microgram is another 1,000. So we're gonna do 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. You will have move this decimal up to 9 place. If you do not have a calculator, you have to know how to move your decimal place. So this one here is gonna be 1. Remember, we got a billion, we got 9 0. So we're gonna move here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. So now we have to add up 3 0 right there. This is how you will have to do that. All right. We're gonna have a 0.007852 multiplied by 1 billion. It means 1 with 90. As we talk about that. All right. So your answer that 7,852,000. This is your answer right there. All right. So kilogram to milligram, you will have to multiply by 1,000 because that's 2 steps. Left to right to multiply. So you multiply that one by 1,000, by million. Well, you're gonna move this 6 0. A million have a 6 0. Move the decimal 6 times from left to right. So right here got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So your answer is gonna be 24,247 milligram. 24,247 milligram. All right. This is how you can learn. So milligram back to gram. Well, milligram, you go from right to left. So you have to divide. So there is only 1,000. So when I divide this, you have a 0.485 gram. All right. Pound to kilogram, we learn pound to kilogram, you gotta divide by 2.2. All right, we learned that 212 divided by 2.2, you have a 96. They may tell you to stop to the second place or first place. If I gotta stop to the second place, I'm gonna have 96.36. If I have to stop to the first place, then I'm gonna have a 96.4. You have to know how to round. So when you have a kilogram, number 14, kilogram to pound, you have to multiply by 2.2. So once you do that, you have 224 pound. All right, so let's go find the number 15 before we get down to number 29. I hope you're getting the hang of it. You just have to do this from your memory. For you can be able to understand it. So let's do 7 feet, 5 inches to centimeters. So we gotta bring feet to inches first. You know, 1 foot equal 12 inches. So we're gonna get to 7 feet times 12. You got 84. You're gonna get now 84 inches plus 5 inches. Because you cannot go from feet directly to inches. You have to convert them to inches. And from inches, go to centimeter. So when I convert the 7 feet to inches, I'm multiplying that by 12, I have 84. I'm going to add this 5 inches that was there. Now I have 89 inches. So you know inches from centimeter, you have to multiply that by 10. No, you multiply that by 2.5. So you got 89 because 1 inch equal or 2.5 centimeter. So 89 times 2.5. And once you do that, now you have a 222.5. Then if they ask you, convert this to millimeter, you just gonna multiply that one by 10 for you to get to millimeter. Okay, I hope that really makes sense. Let's look at the 15 centimeter. Centimeter to millimeter, you multiply by 10 because 1 centimeter equal 10 millimeter. So I'm gonna multiply 15 by 10 equal what? 150 millimeter. Once again, you have to do a lot of exercise for you to be able to remember them. So inches to millimeter. So inches to millimeter is what? Remember, we talk about this. You cannot go from inch to millimeter directly. You gotta go inch to centimeter, then from centimeter, make that to millimeter, okay? So inch to centimeter, you get to multiply by 2.5. So I'm gonna have a 12 inches, multiply that by 2.5. All right, now the answer that you're gonna get, there you have to multiply that by 10 to make that to millimeter. So you got 12 times 2.5, you got 30 times 10, you have 300 millimeter. Okay, let's look at 0.52 centimeter to millimeter. We know 1 centimeter equal 10 millimeters. So here you just have to multiply by 10 because to go from centimeter to millimeter, you have to multiply by 10. Millimeter back, you divide by 10. So 0.52 multiplied by 10, you have 5.2 millimeter. Okay, let's do number 19. Number 19, you have a milliliter to liter. We learn when you go from milliliter back to something except microliter, you will have to divide. When you go from something like spoon, ounces, or cup, or tablespoon, or pint, quart, whatever it is, to go to 1 milliliter, you will have to multiply. You just need to know the conversion number and multiply by. So those tips is helping you to be careful. Whenever you go from a milliliter to liter, if you are multiplying, you know that you are in the wrong way. You are in the wrong way. That's why I'm giving you this right here to help you to have an idea. So from a milliliter back to liter, you have to do what? You have to divide. And when you go from a liter back to milliliter, or you go from a teaspoon, you go from ounces, you go from a pint, whatever, cup, whatever it is, you go to liter or milliliter, you will have to multiply. So those are quick tips. Is helping you yourself as you're about to take a test, so you can know if I'm going from something to milliliter, I have to multiply. So if you are dividing, you know that you are doing a mistake right there. You cannot go from a teaspoon to milliliter and you are trying to divide that by 5. No, because you know 1 teaspoon equals 5 milliliter. Whatever teaspoon it is, to go to milliliter, you have to multiply. That's why I told you, take microliter away because we're not going to learn that here. But whenever you go from something else, either teaspoon, equal, pint, quart, ounces, glasses, a cup, whatever you name it. When you go from those stuff to milliliter, you have to multiply. And when you go from a liter to milliliter, you have to multiply. Now, when you go from a milliliter back to liter, back to cup, back to ounce, back to pint, back to quart, you have to divide. Those tips is there to help you to know if you are driving in the wrong way, if you're not driving in the wrong way. Dear friend, if you go from a teaspoon or ounces, you go to milliliter, like 5 ounces to milliliter, you go divide by 30, You are in the wrong way. This is the only thing you have to remember. So from here, since we go from a milliliter to whatever it is, we have to divide. You know, 1 liter equal 1,000 milliliter. So here we're going to divide by 1,000. So now you have a 5.25. Do not go right as 50, 0. You don't write a trailing 0 at the end. So you have a liter right there. Microgram to milligram, you're driving backward the other way. You go from right to left. So you have to divide. There is only one spot from a microgram to milligram. So you gotta divide this by 1,000. And when you divide this by 1,000, you got 4.5 milligram. All right, so let's go to number 21. We're almost there. Well, let's look at here. When you go from a microgram to gram, you gotta pass milligram, and then you have to pass, then you gotta make your way to your gram. So you go from right to left, you're gonna divide this by what? By 1,000,000. And when you divide this number right there by 1,000,000, you're gonna have a 4.75025 gram. All right, because once you divide by a 0, a multiple of 0, you gotta move your decimal from one point to the other one. So from here, since I got 6 0, here is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is where my decimal point is gonna be. Those are the stuff we learned that way back in the 4th grade. It just requires more exercise. So milligram to microgram. Remember, you go from left to right, so you have to multiply. Since there is only one spot, do not forget our family line are there. You gotta stay constantly right there in your brain. So you got kilogram, you got gram, you got milligram, and you got microgram. So you got 1,000, you got 1,000, you got 1,000. So from a milligram to microgram, there is only one step, there is only 1,000. So here, you will multiply 0.254 by 1,000. Now you have 254 microgram. All right, let's do this one here. 35 degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. So what did we learn? From a Fahrenheit to Celsius, whatever they give you, you will have to subtract 32. So I'm going to do 35 minus 32. And then your answer divided by 1.8. Mr. Z, how do you remember this? Well, dear friend, the only way you remember those stuff is to look at them every day. You got to look at them. You look at them. You wake up, you look at them. You go to bed, you look at them. You go take a shower, you look at them. You drive in your car, whenever you stop to buy a gas, you look at them. You talk to a friend, you look at them. You got to look at them and do a lot of exercise. This is how you retain something to your memory. You know, you got to do a lot of repetition. And more you repeat something 21 times. If you repeat anything 21 times, it stays in your brain forever. So now you got to try that 21 times. You look at it, you repeat, you repeat, you repeat. It stays in your brain. So now you got 35 minus 32, you got what? 5? Oh. How 35 minus 32 is 5? Oh, Pupa, 35 minus 32 is not 5, it's 3. So now you got 3. Now divide that by 1.8. Now you have what? If they ask you to stop at the second place, you're going to have now 1.67. If you say 6, you're wrong, because this is not how you run to the second place. Then if they ask you to stop at the first place, it's going to be 1.7. All right? Milliliter to ounce. I told you, when you go from a milliliter back to wherever it is, you have to divide. So I know 1 ounce equal 30 milliliter. To go from milliliter to ounce, I'm going to divide this by 30. So you know equal 1 ounce. Milliliter to or tablespoon. But what do you know? You know that 1 tablespoon equal 15 milliliter. All right, so I'm going to get this right here, divided that by 15 milliliter. So once you do that, you have what? You have 2 tablespoons. That's why you know 2 tablespoons equal 30. All right, let's look at here, number 26. We're almost there. 4 milliliter to teaspoon. A small t mini teaspoon. All right. You know 1 teaspoon equal 5 milliliter. So you divide this one here by 5 milliliter for you to get the value of a teaspoon. So from teaspoon to milliliter, you multiply by 5. From milliliter back to teaspoon, you divide by 5. And when I do that, I have a 9 teaspoon. 25 kilogram, we learned what? Kilogram to pound, you multiply by 2.2. So you're going to have a 25 kilogram. You know, you got 22 2 pound. It gave you what? It gave you 1 kilogram. You know that. There is 1 kilogram in 2.2 pound. That kilogram cancel. That's what we tell you. Just remember, pound to kilogram, you multiply by 2.2. So once you do that, well, you got 25 multiplied by 2.2, you have 55 pounds. We're almost there. You got cc to ounce, which is a cup. It means C, 2 cup. All right, you know 1 cup equal how many ounce? You know 1 cup equal 240 milliliter. 1 ounce equal 30 milliliter. Divide 240 by 30, it gives you 8. You know 1 cup equal ounce. So from cup to ounce, you multiply. So 2 cup equal 16 ounces. Mr. Ziba, why you just bring those stuff like this? You don't look at on the paper. No, I don't have no paper in front of me. All of this is coming straight from my memory. And I know you too, you can do that. It's not a magic stuff. You can learn it. More you do practice, more you get the hang of it. Let's look at number 29. We're almost there. 15 pounds and 30 ounces to kilogram. All right. So we got to convert this one here to pound. So what do you know? You know 1 ounce equal what? You got to divide by 16, correct, right? Because 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So from ounces back to pound, you divide by 16. So when I divide the 32 ounces by 16, I'm going to have a 2 pound. Here I got 15 pounds. So together, now I have what? I got 17 pounds. So you know from pound to kilogram, you got to divide by 2.2. So once you divide 17 by 2.2, now you have your kilogram right there, which is 7.73 if you're stopping at the second place. All right, kilogram. If you're stopping at the first place, at the 10th, it's going to be 7.7 kilogram. All right, let's look at this thing right here. Kilogram to milligram. You go by 3 stops. Remember your family line. 1, 2, and 3. So you got kilogram, you got gram, you got milligram, you got microgram. So you have 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000. So kilogram to gram, it's 1,000. Kilogram to milligram, it's a million because 1,000 times 1,000. So once you do that, you got to multiply this number 0.758 by million. So once you do that, the first 3 zeros are going to take care of those decimal. So you're going to have now 758. Then you have like that 758,000 milligram. All right. So pound to kilogram, we learn you have to divide by 2.2. You got to divide by 2.2. You got 220 pounds divided by 2.2. It gives you 100 and kilo. Okay. Pound, you divide that by 2.2. You have a 100 kilo. All right. So let's look at the last one that already drive people crazy. In this exercise, they say If someone that weighs 1 kilogram is getting 35 milligram, the problem is that person that have 1 kilogram is getting 35 milligram. What will be the value in milligram if the patient weight is 22 pounds? It means what? If the person weigh 1 kilogram, you got 35 milligram. Think about this. If the person weigh 2 kilogram, how many milligram is gonna get? 70, because you're gonna multiply the 2 kilogram, the value of 1 kilogram is 35. So if that person have a 2 kilogram, I just need to replace the value of a kilogram by the value which is 35. I'm gonna do 2 times 35, it give you 70. Since we have a pound, I have to convert a pound to kilogram first. I gotta get a pound divided by 2.2. So once you do 22 pounds divided by 2.2, now you have a 10 kilogram. So now you know if the person that weigh 1 kilogram got 35 milligram, if that person weigh 10 times that value, you're gonna have a 350 multiplied by 10, it will give you 350 milligram. All right? All right, dear friend, this is where we stop. And I hope this session was very helpful. A quick recap before we end up this conversation. Just remember, you had a family, a mother was blessed with 4 kids. The firstborn was kilogram. The secondborn was gram. The thirdborn was milligram. The fourth one was microgram. You have to memorize, you have to commit this in your memory. If you do that, it will help you big time. So kilogram to gram, what do you have? You have 1,000. All right? Gram to milligram, you have all those families were born 1,000 days apart. This is the story for this family. In that way, anytime your value, your exercise asks you to go from left to right, you will multiply. And then whenever you go from right to left, you will divide. Now you just have to look at those numbers. When I go from a microgram to milligram, there is only one spot. There is only 1,000. Since I'm going from right to left, I'm going to divide by 1,000. That's why when they give you 3,500 microgram to milligram, you divide that by 1,000, you got 3.5 milligram. All right. Milligram to microgram, there is only 1,000. So since you're going from left to right, you will have to multiply by 1,000. So once you do 3.5 milligram equal how many microgram, you multiply that by 1,000. And once you do that, you have now 3,500 microgram. From a kilogram to gram, you multiply by 1,000 because you go from left to right. From a kilogram to milligram, you multiply by 1,000 by 1,000. That's why we say you multiply by 1,000,000. Kilogram to microgram, you multiply by 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000 because you move from left to right, so you multiply by 1,000,000. When you go from gram to milligram, it's only one spot. Gram to milligram is only 1,000, so multiply by 1,000. Gram to microgram, you multiply by 1,000,000 because you multiply by 1,000 by 1,000. Milligram to microgram is only one spot, you multiply by 1,000. Microgram to gram, you divide by 1,000 by 1,000, you have to divide by 1,000,000. Microgram back to kilogram, you divide by 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000. All right, this is how you do that. And more you do those practice, you get the hang of it. We learn 1 teaspoon, we learn equal 5 milliliter. And we learn 1 milliliter is the same thing as a cc. So 1 teaspoon equal 5 milliliter equal 5 cc. So we learn 1 tablespoon equal 15 milliliter. You know 5 ml is gonna go in 15 3 times. So we can draw a conclusion: 1 tablespoon equal 3 teaspoon. We learned again 1 ounce equal 30 ml. So what do you know? 5 ml can go to 30 ml 6 times. So we can draw a conclusion 1 ounce equals 6 teaspoons. 15 ml can go to 30 ml only 2 times. So we can draw a conclusion 1 ounce equal 2 tablespoons. We learned again that 1 cup is the same thing as 1 glass. So you have to know this. So we know 1 cup equal how many ounces? We learned 1 cup equal 240 ml. Think about this. Ounces, which is 30 ml, will go to 240 how many times? It can go only 8 times. So we can draw a conclusion. 1 cup equal 8 ounces. I don't want to drive you crazy with a teaspoon, but if you have to go to teaspoon, you're going to get a 6 times 8. You're going to have a 48 teaspoon. You're going to get a 2 tablespoons times 8. You're going to have a 16 tablespoons. So we learned again that something that we call 1 liter equal 1,000 ml. So from liter to milliliter, you will multiply. Anything you go from it, from a teaspoon, from tablespoon, from ounces, from a cup, from glasses to milliliter, you will have to multiply. You just have to know your conversion right there. From milliliter back to liter, back to cup, back to ounce, back to teaspoon, back to tablespoon, you will have to divide. We learn one thing, we say 1 pint. 1 pint come before the quart. So you have 480 milliliter. All right. So you can know all of those stuff can be divided, can go inside of 480. So you can know how many teaspoons are in 1 pint, how many tablespoons are in 1 pint. You can divide all the stuff by their value so you know how many they are inside. So we learn 1 quart equal 960 milliliter. So we can draw a conclusion 1 quart equal 2 pints. So you can know that. So we learned again that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. This is right here for the weight. So when they got 2 pounds equal 32 ounces, you can go ahead and divide them. All right. Few things that we learn beside those pounds. So you have to know that 1 grain, GR, 1 grain equals 60 milligrams. Sometimes they do 60 to 65. So you learn today that 1 foot equal how many inches? You got 12 inches because you have to multiply by 12. So we learn that 1 inch equal how many centimeter? You gotta multiply that by 2.5 centimeter. So we learn that 1 centimeter equal how many millimeter? You multiply that by 10 you multiply that by 10 millimeter. All right. So we learned again today that 1 hour equal how many minutes? Equal 60 minutes. So if they give you 2 hours equal how many minutes? You multiply by 60. You got 120 minutes. If they give you minute to hours, you divide by 60. So 120 minutes equal how many hours? You divide by 60, you got 2 hours. So we learn from you to go from degree Fahrenheit, whenever they give you maybe 32 degree Fahrenheit, to go to degree Celsius, you have to subtract 32. Whenever you subtract 32, the answer that you got, you have to divide that by 1.8. That means if you got 32 degree Fahrenheit, you're going to do 32 minus 32, you got 0, divided by 1.8, you got 0 degrees Celsius. So you can draw a conclusion that 32 degree Fahrenheit equals 0 degrees Celsius. So whenever now they give you degrees Celsius, you want to go to degree Fahrenheit, dear friend, now you will have to multiply by 1.8. Whatever the answer you got, you have to add 32. That's why when I have a 0 degree Celsius, I'm going to have a 0 degree Celsius times 1.8 plus 32. So you know any number times 0 give you 0 plus 32. So I know 0 degree Celsius equal 32 degree Fahrenheit. That's how we draw today's conclusion. As I said before, today's session was not a quick session for someone just to come and get a quick. No. Here it was a full session to give someone a comprehensive review for anyone that have been struggling on how to get the conversion down. Dear friend, you cannot solve some of your input. You cannot do your input and output problem in class. You cannot do your input and output problem in your place of work. You cannot do output and input because if the CNA come, they say we gave her 2 cups. This person drank 1 glass of fluid, and we gave again maybe she took maybe 5 tablespoons of medicine, and we gave again maybe 1 teaspoon of this. We gave this. You have to combine everything and convert them to milliliters so you can add them. So those are the value you have to remember them. But I know it's hard. I know it's confusing. That's why you have to do a lot of exercise. More you do this exercise, more you're going to get the hang of it. But if you don't do that, you just look at it like this, you are scared. You're not going to move forward with this stuff. You have to buy those index cards. Go to Walmart, go to dollar store, buy them. Write all those conversions down and start committing them to memory. Write yourself many exercises on the cup, on the milliliter, and try to test yourself. And once you test yourself, if you know you don't know 2 grams to milligram, if you don't know, you have to multiply by 1,000. But you went ahead and divide by 1,000. When you're going to look at your answer and say, oh my God, 2 grams to milligram, I got to multiply by 1,000. Oh, now I remember what Mr. Z said. Mr. Z said there was a family of 4. The first one was kilogram. The second one was gram. The third one was milligram. The last one was a microgram. Mr. Z said when you grow from kilogram to gram, there was only 1,000. Gram to milligram, there was only 1,000 they apart. Milligram to microgram, that was 1,000. From there, you gotta know when you go from left to right, you will multiply. And when you go from right back to left, you will have to divide. Okay, Mr. Z, 2 grams to milligram, okay? I know 2 grams will be here. And I'm going to milligram, all right? Since I'm going from left to right, I'll have to multiply. Oh, thank you, Mr. Z. Before I did not know, I was getting those stuff wrong. Now that I write it down, this family of 4, I know which way to go, left to right. I will multiply, and right to left, I'm going to divide. So there is only 1,000 from a gram to milligram. I multiply that by 1,000. Then I know now I have 2,000 milligrams. I'm proud of you. Give yourself some round of applause. Applaud for yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. You did it great. You did it great. Call your kid, call your husband, call your boyfriend, say, we got it done. You got this thing done. But do not just now go down there and forget about this stuff. No, you got to do a lot of exercise. More you do this, more you will commit this in your memory. But if you don't practice that, what will happen? Nothing. Practice make it perfect. Don't forget that. Practice make perfect. You have those exercises, do them, practice them. This is going to help you. You cannot, as I said earlier, solve your dosage calculation without knowing those stuff. You got to do a lot of practice for you to be able to remember those stuff. As always, be blessed. If you know any friend going to nursing school, invite that person. Share that link to that person. Say, hey, check it out here, Mr. Z. Follow this thing right here. Take a paper, get your a cup of coffee, and you'll be able to learn something. We want to make nursing school fun, but the only way you got to be able to practice. And more you do a lot of practices, more you're going to get it, more you're going to understand, and more you're going to be happy. If you do not understand something, it raises anxiety. It creates a lot of frustration. The only way to go around that frustration is by telling yourself, I can do it. Tell yourself. Oh, tell yourself you can do it. Good job. You can do it. If she can do it, you can do it too. You don't need to feel like you will never get this thing done. If you're telling your brain, I will never get this done. Yes, you will never get this done. If you're telling yourself, this part is challenging. But more I do a lot of exercise, I will get the hang of it. You will. Remember, you do one thing 21 times, you commit that to your memory. Write the index card. Write 1 foot equal 12 inches. So get all those cards. Pick one card, look at, oh, foot. Okay, foot. Oh, foot. Oh, is 20? No, no. If you do that 21 times, like it or not, it stay in your memory. All right? How do you know your name was what your mom called you? Because your mom was calling you by your name several times. That's why you can remember your name. Can you forget your own name? I don't think so. You know your name. You cannot forget your own name. You know your name. Even if they ask you 2,000 times, you know your name. Why? Because your mama, your parent was telling you those stuff over and over and over and over. And now today you know that your name is so and so. All right? Be blessed and do a lot of practice. This is the only way you can remember those stuff. Until next time, don't forget, you got to take care of each other. This is how life should be. If you know anybody struggling, any friend, help your friend. This is how life should be. Be blessed. I'll see you until next video.